continue with our app building, we are going to try and take a quick recap of what we've been able to do so far. Then we continue. Okay, so currently what we have is we have a transaction page which shows the list of all transactions grouped according to income and expenditure. Okay, this is an action button. When we click on this, it gives us the option to record a transaction. So you can select your type because this is an enum. Then we have category. These are the various categories. And according to what we've done, you select expenditure, you should have a specific list of categories: social, personal, academic. When you select income, you should have another separate list of categories based on the formula we used. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, please visit the other videos where we did these things. Okay, moving on, we have a detail section. We have a mode of payment. Now, if you remember very well, mode of payment is a ref to our modes of payment table. So we have cash, bank, more money. If you have any new mode of payment you want to record or add to this list, you can click on new. This will take you to the mode of payment table, and you can indicate what the name of the mode of payment is, and then the start balance, and then these ones will be generated as well. Once we have this in place, you indicate your amount and then you can save. Okay, so that's what we've done so far for the transactions table. There's very little we've done for the modes of payment table in terms of the UI, but then we've done a lot in terms of our calculations. So we have current balance as start balance minus total outflows plus total inflows to give us our current balance. We've done this for cash, we've done this for bank, and we've done this for more money. So we're going to try and do a number of things today. One of those things is you realize that once you try to add a record, you can only add an income or an expenditure. But how about if you have a transfer from one mode of payment to another mode of payment? How do you record this? Now, with the way the app is currently built, it will mean that you have to record one inflow as an income for one mode of payment, and then another outflow as an expenditure for another mode of payment, which isn't right technically for accounting purposes. So what we're going to do is going to try and build a transfers portal for our transfers. So when you come to our completed Money Matters app, you realize that when you're trying to record a new transaction, there's an option for transfers. Okay, so when you click transfer, you have transfer to. You select the mode of payment you're transferring the money to. So let's say I'm transferring to cash. Where are you transferring from? I'm transferring from bank. You see this? Then you can input why this transfer is happening, and you can indicate the amount that's being transferred, maybe 500 Ghana cedis from bank to cash. Okay, so this separates incomes and expenditure from transfers, and I think it's a very important thing to do for your mobile applications. Okay, so when you come back to our app over here, currently we don't have something like that, so we need to create a transfers option so you can transfer money from one more money or one mode of payment to another mode of payment. So how do we get this done? To do this, we need to make a fundamental change to our data structure, okay, because we need another column that's going to be recording the mode of payment where money is moving from to the mode of payment where money is moving to. Okay, so we're going to come to data. Under data, you just select any of the tables you see, then you select the option view source. View source allows you to go back to the data point or the data source of your app. So I click view source, and then since my app is a Google Sheets, AppSheet is going to open the Google Sheets that I'm using for this app. Okay, so currently this is my Google Sheets. You should remember this. We have only two sheets over here. We have transactions and we have mode of payment. Okay, so these are mode of payment sheets and these are transaction sheets. So what we are trying to do here basically is currently what we have is we have an ID column, we have dates, we have we have transaction type, we have category, details, mode of payment, and amount. What we want to do is we want to create another transaction type, which is transfers. And what's going to happen basically is it's going to be a movement of cash or money from one mode of payment to another mode of payment. So because of that, we need another mode of payment column that's going to represent mode of payment out. This is currently for mode of payments where money is coming in. We're going to create another mode of payment column. So I'm going to right click this, insert column to my left. Okay, I'm going to call this mode of payment out. Okay, so this mode of payments is now going to stand for only when money is coming into that particular mode of payment. So if money is coming in, it's going to be a mode of payment here. Money is going out, mode of payment out. Okay, so what I'm going to do basically now is I need to now try and make some changes over here, because this mode of payment is going to be for only instances where money is coming in, and this is going for only instances where money is going out. So over here it's an income, money is coming in, so mode of payment is going to remain here. Here is an expenditure, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to relocate it here. This is income, so it's going to remain here. This is expenditure, I'm going to cut it and paste it here. Good. So now I have two mode of payments, mode of payment in, mode of payment out. So what this basically means is if there's a transfer, for instance, if there's a transfer over here, where is the money going to? This is the column that's going to take up where the money is going to. So let's say the money is going to, like I used earlier, cash, but then it's coming from what? Bank. Then I can indicate the amount of, let's say, 250. Okay, so that's how I'm going to get this done. However, if it's just income, money is going to be recorded here. It's just expenditure, money is going to be recorded here. Okay, so with that done, I have to go back to my app. So when I go back to my app, now because I have made a structural change to my app, when I refresh my app like this, what is going to happen is that I'm going to have an issue. My app is going to break. Now this is the error message I received. It says there is a mismatch in the number of columns between the spreadsheet for transaction and the table schema. The table schema is what AppSheet has stored in memory as the structure of the table. So the table has 8 columns, but the schema has just 7 columns. Please regenerate the table column structure. Now this is a very common AppSheet error when you make any fundamental changes to the structure of the app. For example, you change the number of columns, you add a column or you take away a column, or even change the names of some of the columns. It's important that you regenerate the table schema so that AppSheet will become familiar with the new table structure. So to do this, all you need to do is go to the table that has this issue, transactions. So come to columns, come to transactions, and in columns and the transactions you have regenerate structure. So you just click on regenerate structure, and AppSheet is just going to do the rest. So now AppSheet is conversant with the structure of the app. It knows that now you have an extra column. So when you come down, you see we have mode of payment and we have mode of payment out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this mode of payment is also going to be a reference to my mode of payment table. So click here, select ref. My source is the MOP table. Done. Okay, so now I have two mode of payments, mode of payment in, mode of payment out. So when you select this, so I have mode of payments here. That gives me this list, and I have mode of payment out. That also gives me this list. Fantastic. Now we need to do some work to this to make sure that it gets it working appropriately. Now first and foremost, we can't have two mode of payment showing. Okay, we want just the ones that are necessary to show for the user. Okay, so when the user selects income, we want only those lines that refer to income to show. So for the instance of income, only this mode of payment should show, and the instance of expenditure, only this mode of payment should show. Okay, so now how do we get this done? So when you come to columns, under columns, every column has this option, the show option. Now you can decide whether a column should show in AppSheet or not by checking this or unchecking it. Okay, so currently we've unchecked ID, so ID doesn't show within an app, anywhere in an app, only that records are kept in the spreadsheet of this column. You can also generate, or you can also show this column based on a formula. So if a condition is met, this column will show. If a condition is not met, this column will not show, and that's what we're going to be using. So we're going to go to our mode of payment column. Okay, and then we're going to use a formula. So we'll click this, click here. We're going to basically say that, okay, if we're going to basically use a condition or a logic that says that employment or type is equal to what? Income. That's when this column is going to show. So equal to type. But you realize that the only instance when we don't want this column to show is when type is actually equal to expenditure, because when type is equal to income, this column is going to show, and when type is also equal to transfers, this column is supposed to show. So we're going to actually say that type is not equal to expenditure. That's a much appropriate way to do this. So type is not equal to expenditure. So this is how you express not equal to in AppSheet or most spreadsheets, to be frank. Okay, so I have this. I can click save, click done. So let's see how this looks. Okay, so let me save this. Okay, so we're back here. Let me cancel this form and start a new one. Okay, so currently you realize that both of them are showing mode of payment and mode of payment out. But if I select expenditure, you realize that it's just one that's showing, that's mode of payment out. Okay, mode of payment in doesn't show, so I cannot record a transaction for expenditure and select that mode of payment. Okay, so that's what we're trying to achieve here. So for expenditure, this is the right one that's supposed to show. When I select income, this one should show, but this shouldn't show. Right? Great. So I'm going to select mode of payment out, and I'm going to place a similar formula here that says that, okay, this column shouldn't show when type is equal to, it's not equal to income. So this column is only going to show when type is not equal to income. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to click done. Okay, I'm going to save this. So currently, if I select expenditure, I have mode of payment out showing. If I select income, I have just one mode of payment showing. Fantastic. Okay, so that's one thing done. Another thing we need to do is now we need to include our type for transfers. So we currently have just two, that's income and expenditure. I'm going to add another one, that's transfers. Transfer, and hit done. Great. Okay, so click this. I have income, expenditure, and transfer. Good. So when I select transfer, both are going to show. That's mode of payment here, and then we have mode of payment. That's great. When I select expenditure, I just have mode of payment out, and I have income, I have mode of payment in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, in all instances, except for transfers where it's supposed to be transfer in, transfer out, I expect this to just read as mode of payment. I don't want, in the instance of expenditure, I have mode of payment out. But then in AppSheet, as much as possible, when you create your database in a spreadsheet or wherever it is, you are not supposed to be changing the columns. Okay, so I don't need to go and change this column to mode of payment. Okay, it has to remain at mode of payment out as it is in a spreadsheet. But however, I can change the display name. What this means is in the app, how the name is going to be displayed would be different from how it's actually originally recorded in my data point or data source. Okay, so to do this, you go to the app you want to edit the name. So for instance, when I come to mode of payment, under display, the display section, you have what we call the display name. Now you can use a formula for this, which is what I'm going to do. Now the formula is this. Now if the column, if the option selected, okay, is transfer, okay, I want this column to read as transfer to, okay, that's the mode of payment we're going to be transferring money to. However, if it is anything else, it should just read as mode of payment. So if, okay, open brackets, if this column, so I'm going to select if transfer or if type, hold on, if type is equal to transfer, okay, what do I want to see over there? I want it to read, or the display name should read as transfer to, okay. Other than that, I want it to already read as just mode of payment. Okay, just click save, just click done. So let's save this. Okay, so currently when I select income, I have mode of payments, which we're already used to. When I select transfer, I have what transfer to. You get it? So it's no longer reading as mode of payment, but it's reading as what transfer to. So that's the same thing we're going to do here. So mode of payment out. Let's try this again. Let's come to behavior. Okay, so display name is going to be an if function. So if, okay, type is equal to transfer. Okay, what do you want at the display name? You want what transfer from. Other than that, I want it to always read as just what mode of payment. Okay, so I don't want to show mode of payment out. Okay, so when I click save and I click done, okay, click save this. So currently we have income, expenditure, transfer, nothing selected. We have mode of payment. Okay, when I select income, just one shows. When I select expenditure, just the other shows. When I select transfer, we have what transfer to and transfer from. Okay, so that's the goal. So now I can select transferring money from cash to, let's say, bank. You get it? So now I have changed how these columns display, or the names they display when they are in the app based on certain conditions using the display name section. Okay, fantastic work done. Okay, so last thing we want to do is currently you realize that when nothing is selected, we have both mode of payment showing, which isn't really ideal. At least if we can't have one of them showing, at least you have none of them showing. Okay, so what we're going to do is at least we're going to take one off. That's mode of payment. 2, so click mode of payment and come here. So currently we are saying that when type is not equal to income, this column shouldn't show. You can use an AND function and say that when type is not equal to income. You can also say when type, okay, is not blank. So this column is only going to show when type is not equal to income and when type is not blank. So if type is blank or type doesn't contain any value, okay, this column is not going to show. So when I click save, click done. So currently, just because before I save, you realize that we have both mode of payment showing when nothing is selected because of our conditions. But by adding this, You realize you have just one mode of payment. Okay, at all times you just have one mode of payment, expenditure. Okay, mode of payment. Then you have what? Transfer. Then you have what? Transfer to, transfer from. Fantastic. So our app is now working like we expect it to work. Great. But then the work is still not complete. You realize that even though our app looks as we want it to, the calculations running behind it do not work as we expect it to work. Okay. For instance, if I try and pass an expenditure currently on, let's say, so let me come to mode of payment. Okay. Let's say I want to pass an expenditure on cash. Okay. Currently, you have a current balance of 100 for cash, right? So, if I come to expenditure and then I pass an expenditure, let's say expenditure category, let's say others, let's say donation. Okay, let's say cash. Let me pass that 100 Ghana cedis and see if it will reduce our amount. Save. Okay, so if you come to mode of payment, cash, you realize that our 100 Ghana cedi hasn't changed. That's because the calculations for total inflows, total outflows are now currently not working as they are supposed to work. Okay, so we need to do some changes to these calculations. So let's go to this table for mode of payment. And there are two ways to do it. You can come here and scroll down, or you go to the view. Under view, you have the link to the table. So MOP, and you click on this, it opens this for you. Now view columns. Okay, so now we need to now check the calculations we have done. So currently, if you notice, you realize that aside our first related transactions table, we have another related transactions table over here. This is related transactions by mode of payment out. So this table is a table that keeps the transactions of all outward movements. Okay, so now all outward movement have been pushed to this table based on how we structured our data, and all inward movements are currently in this table. Okay, so based on that we need to kind of restructure our formulas. So for instance, the total inflows. Okay, so over here what the formula is saying is, so select from the related transactions amount column instances where type is equal to income. Now what I'm saying is, you realize that because of how we structured our data, okay, what is going to happen is that only inflows are going to move into this particular column. So we don't really need to specify that type is equal to income. Okay, because we are also looking at instances where there's a transfer. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off these ones. We don't need them anymore. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sum related transactions amount, and that will give you the total inflows, right? And then we're going to use the same formula or something similar to this for our outflows. So sum, then come to total outflows, come over here. I'm going to take these out. I currently don't need this anymore. But then for this one, our transactions are no longer recorded in the just related transaction, but related transaction by mode of payment out. So when you come to FOP, this one, this is currently where our all outflows are recorded. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type it over here. So related transactions by mode of payment out. If I got it right, related transactions by mode of payment out. Related transactions by mode of payment. Fantastic. So this has been validated as right. I can now save this. And I'll hit done. Let's see. Great. So now our cash flow, our cash is working. It's recognizing all our total inflows, total outflows, current balance, which is good. We have current balance of 500 for bank, and then start balance of this, total inflows of that. So let's try this. Let's try and pass 250 from bank, which is currently 500, to cash 200, and let's see how that will go. So come here, transfer. Okay, I'm transferring to cash, and I'm transferring from bank. Okay, how much? 250. Save. Category. Okay, let's give this others. Don't really think we need a category, so I think we can take that off. Okay, so let's see cash now. Great. So now you see cash is now 50 because there's been an inflow of 250. Let's go to bank. Bank has reduced to 250. Fantastic. So now you realize that we are able to do transfer from one mode of payment to another mode of payment. Okay, so quickly before we go, let's take off our category so that we don't have a category showing over here. So we come to transaction table category. I'm basically going to say that this column should only show when type like this, right? The type column is not equal to what? It's not equal to transfer. Okay, I hope I had that right. Click done. Good. So when I click this and I click transfer, it's currently showing. Let me see. Let's see. Great, it's not showing. So transfer category is not showing. Fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll have to also take away the required required. You know, the category column currently is required. That means you need to always provide it before the form can be saved. Okay, but then because it's not going to be showing at all times, I'm going to say that it should only be required when the type, right, is not equal to transfers. If type is equal to transfers, it shouldn't be required. That means you should be able to save without providing a value for that. Done. Save. That's very important, or you have challenges saving your work. Okay, so I guess currently our app is fully functional in the sense it can do everything we need it to do. We just now need to add the aesthetics and then do the UX, how it should look, how the view should look, so that it looks as good as our final product, which is this. So this is our final product. Currently, we've been able to do everything that we have over here, income, expenditure, but then we do not have these action buttons. Okay, we don't have a summary page. We don't have a chat over here for modes of payment, you know. So these are going to be the last things we're going to be doing to end the session next meeting. So I hope you've learned a lot. But before I go, I just want to mention that at this current stage of your app, okay, you can still use it. If the email you use to build the app is the email you use for recording and all those things, all you need to do is download AppSheet from Google Play Store. And then once you download AppSheet from Google Play Store, you should have access to the app you built over here. Okay, so you have access to your recent apps you own, and apps shared to you. So this app you built, the Money Matters app, should be there. So once you download AppSheet from Play Store, you should have access to your Money Matters app. Other than that, if you want to share it to another email or to someone else, all you need to do is click on this share button and then type the person's email over here and then just send. The person is going to receive an email with the link to share this app and to use the app. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me in this session. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. Hopefully in our next subsequent session, we're going to finish this app and we're going to look at more apps we can build with AppSheet. Take care.